Ghoulies 2 is a 1987 American horror comedy directed by Albert Band, father of Charles Band, and stars Damon Martin, Royal Dano, and Phil Fondacaro. The plot follows our favorite little monsters returning to cause chaos at a haunted house attraction as the employees fight back against not only them, but the rich asshole who purchased the company. Ghoulies 2 is, in a lot of ways, exactly what it needed to be, which is kind of like episodic in nature. I haven't seen the other, I think there's 4 Ghoulies movies. I haven't seen 3 or 4, but I assume it kind of does more of that. The only returning characters here are the monsters themselves, which is perfect. It actually would have been a fun, limited series, back in the 90s or something, like an HBO series. I think would have been awesome. I know I constantly lump this in with the Full Moon Features filmography because of the Charles Band connection. But both Ghoulies movies actually came out, I should say the first 2, they actually came out via Charles Band's other company, Empire. And other than Charles Band producing, we have an entire new crew here with his, like I said, his dad, Albert, an established director, replacing Luca Bercovici, Bercovici, I think, from the first film. So Albert Band was actually a fairly active director in the 70s, throughout the whole decade. I don't think he ever directed any of the Full Moon stuff, but he did direct some of the later Empire Pictures stuff. He does a serviceable job here, just no frills directing by someone who knows the trade. The beginning of the film shows an old man breaking into a mechanic's shop at night, looking to dispose of something. And it's his lucky day because the shop has a random open chemical barrel perfect for disposing of things. So he dumps in the sack containing none other than our Ghoulies from the first film. Of course, it doesn't kill them, and they end up, hitching a ride with Larry and his uncle Ned as they head to Satan's Den, a funhouse attraction that they work at. It's a pretty fun setup for a movie because, like Critters and Gremlins, it goes for a similar, PG-13 vibe. I really do love these, what I would call tiny terror type horror movies. As I've seen people call them, I didn't create that. I think this kind of genre needs to make a comeback. We did have The Legend of Ochi last year, which was one of my favorites, and that had some Gremlins influences. And speaking of Gremlins, we did get an animated series not too long ago, and we're also supposed to get a Chris Columbus directed, Steven Spielberg produced Gremlins 3 next year, which is something I've been meaning to talk about on this channel because I'm a massive Gremlins fan, but I haven't got around to it. We don't really know a whole lot yet other than the release date and stuff, which is weird. So the 2019 Critters Attacks, I think it was called, was terrible, and I doubt we'll be seeing more Ghoulies stuff at this point. But who knows? I'm not going to give up hope entirely. I just would like to see a brand new movie in this vein, done the 80s way, of course. It would have to be done the right way. It doesn't have to be original. So like I said, the Ghoulies sneak onto Larry and Ned's semi, which was going to Satan's Den. And as a plot and location, this is all fine by me. And you realize pretty much instantly that the Ghoulies themselves all look much better this time than they did in the first film. So I think some of the puppets and stuff were retooled or whatever, and they look better. I like it. I didn't expect that at all. I believe the first film did turn a solid profit. So, there are also 2 new Ghoulies this time. There's the Toad Ghoulie, who I really liked, and the Kaiju Ghoulie, who, of course, I would like. I'd actually say I think those 2 are my favorite of all the monsters. Charles Band is a big Kaiju fan, so I feel like maybe he was responsible for that. And the reason I call it Kaiju Ghoulie is because it mutates and grows bigger and kind of terrorizes the other Ghoulies. It's pretty cool. He doesn't really get that big though, like human size, and he grows scales and stuff, giving him a kind of a Godzilla look. It's really fun. So I think the sequel actually does improve on the original film in most areas, pretty much all areas, the characters included. I mean, this is by no means a great cast of characters, but they're much better than what we got in that first film, which were just awful, forgettable, Full Moon fucking characters. Larry and his Uncle Ned are pretty cool. Larry's a young dude, probably mid-20s, and he kind of has to take care of Ned because of his hardcore alcoholism. He's drunk throughout the whole movie. I've got the alcoholism. Nigel is a pretty good character too. He's a little person who works at Satan's Den, and one of the crew responsible for just keeping the place together. And like the first movie, it's not it's not really scary at all, but it does have a little bit of gore this time around, which is always cool, especially in a PG-13 movie. So Ghoulies 2 is not a great movie, but it's a fun time. I always have a good time with it. Though the characters are better this time around, they're still, they still aren't as entertaining or as memorable as the characters from like Gremlins or even Critters. The haunt attraction location is fun, though I wish they would have done more with it. So I'm giving Ghoulies 2 2 out of 4 stars. It's a fun movie to put on late at night. This is a perfect Saturday night, just fun fest with some friends and maybe some intoxicants, and just a good way to get your 80s, horror comedy fix. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you at the multiplex.
Subscribe right now, please.